as I walk through a sleepy village. You don't need to listen closely to this story. Nothing important will happen, and nothing will be asked of you. This story is meant to stay soft. It can sit behind your thoughts, the way lamplight sits on a windowsill. If you notice every word, that's fine. If you only catch a few, that's fine too. There's no right way to listen. There is only rest, arriving slowly, in its own time. So take a slow breath in and let it out. Let the muscles around your eyes soften. Let your shoulders fall to a comfortable place. Let the day become less sharp, less urgent, less bright. Imagine yourself in a quiet library late in the evening. It is an old library, built of pale stone and dark wood. The windows are tall and arched, and beyond them the night has already settled over the city. Warm lantern light glows in the streets outside, softened by the glass, softened by distance. Inside, the air is calm. It smells faintly of paper and candle wax and polished wood. The shelves rise high, filled with books whose spines are gently worn from time and touch. Some titles are pressed in gold, some in faded ink, and some are nearly smooth, the words erased by years of careful handling. A clock somewhere in the building marks the hour with a patient sound. It is not loud, it is not demanding, it simply reminds the room that time is moving, slowly, without needing anyone to push it along. You have been reading for a while, long enough that the page feels familiar beneath your fingertips, long enough that the words are beginning to blur, not from strain, but from comfort. The kind of comfort that invites your mind to loosen, to stop holding itself so tightly. You reach the end of a page and pause. You notice you don't need to turn to the next, not because the book is finished, but because the evening is. You close the book carefully. You rest your palm on the cover for a moment, as if to say, thank you. When you stand, your chair makes only the faintest sound against the stone floor, a soft scrape that disappears almost immediately into the quiet. Near the entrance, a librarian looks up. She doesn't speak. She only gives a small nod, the kind shared between people who understand what this moment is, the gentle closing of a day. You gather your things slowly. There is no rush here. The world outside will still be waiting when you step into it. The streets will still be lit. The city will still be calm. Home will still be home. You walk past long tables where lamps have been dimmed. The green shaded lights sit like small pools of color in the darkening room. You pass shelves that smell faintly of dust and ink and old leather. The library is quiet, but not empty. It feels full of calm, full of soft attention, full of stories resting like sleeping animals. At the door, you pause again. The heavy wooden door opens easily, and you step outside. The city greets you with lamplight. Tall lanterns line the street beyond the library steps, each one casting a warm circle of golden light onto the cobblestones below. The stones shine faintly, polished by centuries of footsteps and rain. Even in the lantern glow, you can see the texture of the street, the small, uneven shapes of stone and mortar, all worn smooth in the places where people have walked the most. Buildings stand close together, pale stone and soft curves and little details that feel gentle at night. Window boxes hold dark shapes of plants. Some windows glow softly behind curtains, hinting at dinners winding down and conversations fading. Other windows are dark now, and you can almost feel the quiet inside them. You take a slow breath. The air is cool, but not sharp. It rests against your skin like a light blanket. Somewhere in the distance, a bell marks the hour, low, unhurried, and fading gently into the night. You begin to walk. Your footsteps echo softly, steady and calm, the rhythm of a person who is not being chased by the day anymore. You are not late. You are not early. You are simply moving toward home. The city seems to understand. It offers you narrow streets and warm light and calm corners. It offers you the quiet kind of night where nothing feels urgent. You turn into a smaller street and the lantern glow becomes softer. Here the buildings lean in a little, not to trap you, but to shelter you. Ivy climbs along stone walls, dark leaves catching faint highlights. Balconies extend overhead with wrought iron railings shaped in gentle curves. Somewhere above you, a window is open, just a crack. You hear the soft clink of dishes being set down. You hear a quiet murmur of voices, the sound of a day ending in someone else's home. It is distant, muffled, and comforting. You keep walking. The city smells faintly of damp stone and night air. Somewhere nearby, water trickles through a narrow channel along the street's edge, carrying away the last small pieces of the day. Your shoulders loosen. Your pace slows even more. You are walking the way people walk when they are safe. You pass a little bakery tucked into a corner. Its windows are dark now, but the scent of bread still lingers faintly, warm, comforting, and soft. A wooden sign hangs above the door, creaking gently when a breeze slips through. On a windowsill nearby, a cat sits curled neatly into itself, tail wrapped around its paws. It watches you with half-lidded eyes, calm and unconcerned, as if the entire world is nothing more than a quiet place to rest. You continue on. Each step feels smoother than the one before. The city is doing what it does best at night, slowing everything down. You turn another corner and the street changes again. It opens slightly, not wide, but comfortable, as though the city is making room for your breath. The lanterns here stand a little taller. Their light pools on the stones, and the shadows look soft at their edges. like they're not trying too hard to be shadows. You walk with them, with the light, with the quiet, moving towards the part of the city where home waits. The streets guide you onward with gentle curves, never sharp, never demanding. You move from one pool of lantern light to the next, and each time you pass under the glow, the warmth seems to follow you for a few steps before fading back into cooler night air. Your footsteps remain steady, soft against the cobblestones. The sound is calming. It repeats without surprise, like the ticking of the library clock earlier, like a small reminder that you are here and everything is fine. You pass doorways framed by stone arches. Some doors are painted deep blue or soft green, the colors muted in the nighttime. Iron knockers rest in the center of the wood, shaped like rings or little leaves, details made carefully long ago. A narrow alley opens to your right, and you choose it without needing to think. The alley is quiet and sheltered, lined with walls that hold the day's warmth a little longer. Ivy hangs in gentle strands, and small vines twist around iron hooks, climbing where they can. Overhead, balconies hold potted plants, their shapes soft in the dark. You see a few flowers still open, pale against the shadows, as if they're saving the last bit of daylight they remember. A faint breeze slips through the alley, cool and clean. It carries a hint of something comforting. Maybe soap from someone's wash water. Maybe herbs drying on a balcony. Maybe the faint sweetness of pastry from a shop that closed hours ago. You keep walking. Your mind begins to feel quieter too. The day's noise has fallen away. The tasks and questions and little worries are somewhere far behind you now, lost in the warm light of the library and the calm streets. Ahead, the alley widens. You step into a small courtyard, tucked between buildings like a secret. In the center stands a stone fountain. At night, the water is quiet, but the surface catches the lantern glow in a thin, shining line. The air around it feels cool and fresh. Stone benches sit near the fountain, empty now, but still holding the day's warmth like a memory that hasn't fully cooled. You could sit if you wanted to, but you don't need to. You are already carrying the calm with you. You cross the courtyard slowly and pass through an archway that returns you to another street. Here, the lanterns are spaced farther apart. The shadows between them are deeper, but not frightening. They feel like soft blankets laid across the stones. You see a small shop window displaying folded fabrics, deep blue, soft cream, muted rose. The colors seem quieter at night. The glass reflects the lantern light, and for a moment you see your own shape as you pass, moving gently through the city like someone in a painting. Above the window, a sign hangs from iron brackets, and it creaks faintly when the breeze touches it. The sound is small and harmless, and it fades quickly. Somewhere nearby, a tiny bell rings, just a door closing, a shopkeeper finishing the last task of the day. It is not an alarm. It is not a warning. It is simply the sound of the city settling itself down. You continue on, letting the cobblestones guide your pace. In the distance, you notice a wider street, and near one of the lanterns, you see the quiet shape of a carriage waiting. It stands still, patient, as if it knows you will arrive when you arrive. You approach without hurry. The carriage is dark wood, polished to a soft shine. The wheels are still. A horse stands at the front, calm and steady, shifting its weight now and then. In the lantern glow, you can see a faint mist rising from its breath. The driver sits relaxed on the seat, reins resting loosely in his hands. When he sees you, he offers a small nod. No words are needed. The moment feels familiar, as though this ride is simply part of the city's nighttime rhythm. You step closer, and the driver opens the door for you with an easy motion. You climb into the carriage and settle onto the cushioned seat. The fabric feels smooth beneath your fingertips, worn in the best way, softened by time and comfort. The door closes with a soft, solid sound. For a moment, you sit in stillness. Inside the carriage, the city feels even quieter, as though the walls of wood and fabric have gathered the calm and held it close. You can rest your hands in your lap or let them fall loosely at your sides. You can let your shoulders sink into the cushion. You can let your breathing slow again, deepening without effort. Then, gently, the carriage begins to move. The wheels roll smoothly over the cobblestones, and the motion is steady, predictable, soothing. The carriage sways slightly from side to side, a gentle rocking that feels almost like breathing. Outside the window, lantern light washes across the glass, then fades again, replaced by shadow, then light once more. The pattern repeats calmly, like waves on a quiet shore. The sound of hooves becomes a soft rhythm, not loud, not sharp, just steady. A calm, repeating cadence that doesn't ask you to stay awake, only asks you to be comfortable. As the carriage moves farther from the center of the city, the streets grow quieter. The buildings become slightly lower. The spaces between them widen. The lanterns are fewer, but their light is still warm, still welcoming. You glimpse small courtyards behind iron gates. You glimpse gardens resting in shadow. You glimpse windows with curtains drawn, rooms dim and quiet. The city is falling asleep, one street at a time. The carriage turns gently, then turns again. The motion remains smooth. The world outside drifts by like a painting. Pale stone walls, arched doorways, ivy tracing lines along the edges of buildings, balconies holding sleeping plants. Your thoughts begin to drift. They no longer arrive in sharp lines. They soften and blur. You may think of the library's warm air and tall shelves. You may think of the lanterns reflected on wet stones. You may think of the quiet cat on the windowsill. Or you may think of nothing in particular at all. You feel the carriage slow. The wheels become quieter. The horse's steps soften. And then the carriage comes to a gentle stop. You step down onto the cobblestones in front of a familiar home. The stone exterior is warmed by the glow of lanterns mounted beside the door. The windows shine softly, curtains drawn partway, as though welcoming you back. The driver offers a small nod. The carriage rolls away with the same calm rhythm that brought you here. The sound of hooves fading slowly into the night until it disappears completely. You turn towards the door. You open it. Warmth surrounds you immediately. The air inside, is rich with the scent of burning wood and something faintly sweet, perhaps tea or dried herbs. A fire burns low and steady in the hearth, its flames moving gently, casting soft light across the room. You set your things aside without thought. Everything has its place here. Nothing needs to be done quickly. Nothing needs to be done perfectly. The day is finished, and the house knows it. A chair waits near the fire, its cushions worn into a shape that fits you perfectly. You sink into it slowly, feeling the warmth seep into your muscles, loosening the last bits of tension you didn't realize you were still holding. The room is quiet, but not empty. The fire crackles gently. Somewhere nearby, wood settles with a soft sound. Outside, the city continues its slow drift toward sleep. You rest your feet a little closer to the hearth, feeling the pleasant heat against your skin. The light flickers across the walls, creating slow-moving shadows that rise and fall like breathing. Nothing needs your attention now. The fire settles into a slower rhythm. The flames no longer reach upward. They fold in on themselves, glowing deeper, warmer. The sound becomes steadier, like a quiet conversation between embers and air. You notice how the room seems to breathe. Warm air rises gently from the hearth toward the ceiling, while cooler air settles softly around your feet. The movement is so subtle that you might only feel it when you stop paying attention to it. Your body responds without instruction. Your shoulders drop a little more. Your hands rest where they fall, heavy and relaxed. Your breathing slows until you no longer notice each inhale and exhale, only the calm space between them. The chair supports you completely. There is no edge pressing, no need to adjust. It is the kind of chair that understands stillness, shaped by years of quiet evenings just like this one. Across the room, shadows move lazily along the walls. They stretch and shrink as the fire shifts, never forming anything distinct, never demanding interpretation. Just soft motion, meant to be observed or ignored. You may notice the faintest sounds of the house itself, wood settling, stone cooling, the gentle tick of something distant and unimportant. These sounds don't interrupt the quiet, they deepen it. Somewhere nearby, a kettle rests unused. A blanket lies folded where it was left earlier, ready if you decide you want it, but not insisting. Everything here is optional. Everything is patient. Your thoughts begin to loosen their grip. They drift like the last bits of smoke rising from the fire, thinning as they go, losing their shape. You might still think, but the thoughts no longer connect to one another. They arrive softly and leave just as quietly. Outside, the city has grown still. The lanterns continue to glow, though fewer windows now hold light. The narrow streets you walked earlier rest empty, their stones cooling under the night sky. Inside, the firelight remains. It casts a gentle warmth across your face, across your hands, across the steady rise and fall of your chest. The glow is constant, unchanging enough that your eyes no longer try to follow it. If your eyelids feel heavy, you can let them rest. If they close, the warmth remains. If they stay open a moment longer, the fire will wait. Time stretches here, slow and generous. Minutes pass without being counted. The evening deepens without announcement. There is no signal telling you when to sleep, because sleep is already finding you on its own. The fire continues to glow, steady and unhurried, as though it has all the time in the world. The embers beneath the flames pulse softly, brightening and dimming in a slow rhythm that feels familiar, almost comforting. You remain where you are, supported completely by the chair, wrapped in warmth that does not demand attention. The room holds you gently, as if it were designed for nothing more than this moment of rest. Somewhere beyond the walls of the house, the night deepens further. The sky darkens another shade, stars settling into their places above the rooftops. The narrow streets outside grow quieter still, until even the echoes of earlier footsteps feel like distant memories. Inside, the firelight shifts again, casting longer shadows now, softer at their edges. They stretch across the floor, along the walls, up toward the ceiling beams, then slowly retreat. You may notice how your body feels heavier than before, not with exhaustion, but with comfort. The kind of weight that comes from being fully supported, from having nothing left to carry. Your breathing is slow and even. Each breath arrives on its own, lingers briefly, then leaves without effort. There is no need to control it. It simply continues, steady and reliable, like the fire beside you. The house settles further into stillness. A quiet sound comes from somewhere deep within the walls, the soft adjustment of wood and stone responding to the cooling night. It passes without significance, blending into the background of calm. Your thoughts drift again. They move slowly now, no longer forming clear images or complete ideas. Instead, they pass like clouds across a dim sky, barely noticed, barely remembered. You might recall the warmth of the library earlier, the scent of old books and polished wood, or the soft glow of lanterns along the cobblestone streets, or the gentle sway of the carriage as it carried you home. These memories do not sharpen or demand attention. They simply exist for a moment, then fade. Your eyelids grow heavier still. There is no moment when sleep must arrive. It will come when it comes, quietly, without ceremony, the way night settles fully after dusk. Until then, you rest. The fire glows. The room holds. The city sleeps. You are home. You are safe. You are done for the day. And as the fire continues its patient glow, you drift, slowly, gently, into deep, peaceful sleep, knowing that nothing will be missed and nothing needs to be remembered. Everything can wait.